What's up guys, Josh here with Ty. This is Stover's Motors. Today, with the help of All Balls Racing, we're gonna get a brand new All Balls Racing carb kit with air cutoff valves, full carburetor kit, and also an air filter put into this thing. Customer brought us this unit, said they've cleaned the carburetor on it twice and it still doesn't run right. So we're gonna dive into this thing, figure out exactly what's going on, fully rebuild the carburetors, and get this thing running right. Before we dive in, let's run through our parts list here. Brand new air filter for this. This is a dual stage air filter from All Balls Racing. Be swapping that in, making sure that all of our air getting to the carburetors after the rebuild is clean. And we got two packages here. This guy is going to be a complete carb rebuild kit for both of the carburetors on this. And these guys are air cutoff valves. Air cutoff valves on the carburetors are here and here. Don't always have to replace these, but if the original is torn in the carburetor, you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to get these things to run right and not backfire. Let's go ahead and break these down real quick just to see what we're working with. Always a very, very good idea to make sure you know what you're looking for inside of your carburetors as you're pulling them apart. This one, we can pretty much see everything. We get new hardware for those covers. We got the new diaphragms, and there is an O-ring underneath that cover in addition to the springs. Super simple kit, good insurance to have these replaced when you do a carb rebuild. And as far as our carb kit itself, we'll go through this here real quick. This All Balls Racing carb kits are phenomenal carb kits. They come with everything you need to rebuild. Starting off, we're gonna have two brand new float bowl gaskets. We'll get both those replaced. We have all new hardware. It never fails. You can start digging in some of these, and people have been in here, and these screws will be stripped out. So it's fantastic to have new hardware. Brand new O-rings for inside the carburetors. Two jet needles for the CV slide. Here we've got two brand new mixture screws, as well as mixture screw springs, and then new O-rings and washers for them. Two new main jets, two new idle jets. These idle jets are the same, so it doesn't matter what carburetor they go to. And here we have a 158 jet and a 152 jet. We'll look at the parts diagram to verify which carburetor these go into. Do be mindful that some of these bikes or ATVs that have more than one carburetor use different main jets on different carburetor locations depending on the arrangement of it. So do keep that in mind. Last thing we have here, two brand new fuel needles. Great to have. This whole kit should set up everything we need in these carburetors. So let's go ahead and tear into these real quick and get this thing going. Let's back up here. Before we rebuild the carburetors, we got to get this thing off of the four-wheeler. Four-wheeler's outside right now because the shop is packed, so we're going to rip these things off outside. Here's a quick little montage of breaking this thing down. All right, we got the carburetors off of that four-wheeler. We are now back inside where it's warm. We're gonna get these things rebuilt. We got two carburetors. These things are identical. So what we'll be doing is tearing down one of them. We're gonna just do cylinder number one. This is the front cylinder. We'll tear this one down. Like I said, this one will be identical. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pull that air cutoff valve off. These springs in these things, for these guys, they are stiff. So when you get both screws out of here, make sure you're holding it down because it can shoot off. So I like to break one loose, get the second one, hold all the way out, get that screw all the way out, and then hold it down. Like I said, they do like to fly off sometimes. All right, and this is what that air cutoff diaphragm looks like. And if we weren't replacing them, you want to make sure you check these things over very carefully, make sure there's no cracks or splits or anything like that in it. This one looks like it's okay, but we are replacing it anyway. And then here is the secondary O-ring. It also goes underneath it, that O-ring. Fits right there, and there's a little passage. Okay, that's that. Next thing we're gonna pull off, we're gonna go and pull the top of the carburetor off. This is our CV slide. 4 screws here, pretty easy. Get these off, get to that last one. Again, there is a spring underneath here. Not nearly as much tension as that as the air cutoff valve cover, but good idea to keep the thumb on it just in case. That way it doesn't go shooting off and losing parts everywhere. I'll pull the whole CV slide out here. Again, anytime you have a diaphragm that's going to be reused, like this one, we want to make sure that's in good shape, nothing's torn. All of that looks great. We're going to be able to reuse that. Depending on how much wear is on these jet needles, sometimes I replace them, sometimes I don't. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and replace it just to show you guys the process of doing that. So we'll bring that back in later.
Someone's going to ask, if you have the new stuff and the other old stuff isn't bad, do you replace it anyways, or do you just stick with the factory was in there?
With a kit like this, I would suggest replacing most of what you can. The All Balls Racing stuff is fantastic. It's very consistent in their quality. I have used other cheaper aftermarket kits in the past in a pinch, and they're not worth it. They're inconsistent. So some things work, some things don't. You can safely use everything in the All Balls Racing kit. Like I said, sometimes like these jet needles, I don't always replace them, but these do have a little bit of wear on them, and the customer's having some weird issues. So we're going to go ahead and replace everything that we can, just to make sure everything is taken care of. Make sense?
Heck yeah.
Cool. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and pull out the float bowls here. 4 screws again. Get those out, pull them out. I like to collect all the hardware and keep it together just in case, but we will be replacing it. Inside of the float bowl, these guys said they cleaned it, and I don't know if you can see the green. Pretty nasty looking, so I don't have a lot of confidence in what they had done with it, but we'll go through it, figure it all out, remove that football gasket. We won't be needing that. So we'll get this cleaned out. Next, we'll go and pull this float out.
Doing this at home, you may not have access to like an ultrasonic cleaner or something like that.
Yep.
You spray a cleaner in it, you get it cleaned out. If there's like little crust stuff that doesn't come out, do you scrape that out? Do you leave it? What are the chances that that breaks apart and gets back into the fuel system blocking something?
What we usually do here in the shop is we'll spray down these really good with carb cleaner. If they're bad, you can let them sit. You can get these little cheap brushes online. These things work fantastic for getting down into all these like nooks and crannies. But you can get these all cleaned out using the brush. I try to make sure everything is out of there. Obviously, if you miss something and they're out riding, this thing is vibrating over time, a lot of that stuff will eventually break up and then go through the carburetor. As soon as it hits your idle jet, that's gonna clog first because it's small. The bigger stuff can clog your main jet, and then all the small passages in that carburetor will get clogged up too. So anytime you can, clean out as much as you can. Do the best with what you got. The cleaner it is, the better off you're gonna be. We already removed the float. Float has a hinge pin here. We do reuse that, so we'll set that there. With the floats, something to check. Doesn't always happen, but can happen. These floats can develop a crack in them. If these fill up with fuel, they won't float, won't work. So you can shake them. With the plastic ones, you can actually see if there's any kind of fluid in them because they are somewhat transparent. This one looks to be just fine, so we're gonna be reusing that again. Let's see here, needle. This is our fuel shut off here. I like to look at the tip on this. This one appears to be okay. We didn't have any fuel leaks, so that makes sense. But when these wear out, you'll get a definite line that goes around this cone. We're replacing these because we have them. Next, we're gonna go ahead and pull out this main jet. Main jet just comes out with a flathead screwdriver. The number on it says 152. I'm gonna check that against what we have because we do have a 152 and a 158. So as long as whoever was in here before puts us in the right spot, that's correct. We will verify that just to make sure. But we're going to be using the All Balls Racing one in this instance. Do be mindful if there's a jet kit in here, like if you have an aftermarket intake and aftermarket exhaust. The jet kit will have different size jets. The All Balls Racing comes with what's factory sized. If you put the factory sizes back in and you need a jet kit, things aren't going to run right. So just check your numbers on those. Pretty simple there. Next, we're going to pull out the idle jet. This is where a lot of our starting problems come from. We're going to be using the new ones from All Balls Racing, but I can already tell you I can't see through this. And the customer said they'd already been through this multiple times, and if that's clogged, that's going to be our main hard starting problem right there. Set that aside. Next up, this is our emulsion tube. Kawasaki's kind of got a 3-part system to the main jet here. We have the main jet, which we've already pulled out. This is the emulsion tube. We will make sure all these holes are cleared out. here in a minute. And then the third part is kind of the housing for all of that. I'm gonna pull that out too, just to make sure everything's clean. This is kind of unique to this specific carburetor, this third piece. And it's pretty much just a straight through hole, not a big deal. But there's a bunch of crud I can see built up in there, so that does need to be cleaned out. Word of warning on this specific carburetor, this is an extremely thin wall. And I've seen people go to put a wrench on there or slip off. Once you do that, it mangles up and squishes the threads together, making it difficult to reassemble this. So if you are getting on it, put a socket on there or put a box end wrench, get that seated all the way on there and then turn it. And the same goes with when you go to tighten this thing. You do not want to damage that, otherwise you'll be buying more parts. It does appear that customer may have tried to remove this seat. This is a pressed in seat, so we do not remove those. We do clean these. There are some plier marks on there, so we're gonna make a note of that and pay attention on reassembly. We will pressure test that to make sure this is sealing and no damage was done there. Last thing, we're gonna pull out this mixture screw. This is a fuel mixture screw. The tighter it is, the less fuel that goes through this thing at idle. The looser it is, the more fuel. These things are typically set about 2.5 turns out from bottom, but I always like to double check that. So we will tighten this all the way down till it seats and count the turns. And then when we reinstall it, we'll have a reference for where that was at to begin with. So we're going to tighten this. We got half, 1 turn, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. So 3 turns from bottom. We'll just remember that for when we reassemble it. Both carbs should be within the same range. Usually you can tap on these. They're upside down, get these parts to fall out. We lucked out. All of it came out. Usually the spring, washer, and O-ring will get stuck down inside that carb body, but they all came out as an assembly. That's how it goes together. All Balls Racing does provide a whole new setup for this, so we won't be reusing this. But if you do run into the instance where you unscrew that and the washer, O-ring, and spring don't come out, you can get that out with your own simple little tool. Grab yourself a little paper clip here, bend a little J-hook on that thing, and you can just reach down into this carburetor, grab the spring with that hook. That will come out just like that. Go back in. You got to kind of fish around here a little bit, but you can then get the O-ring and the washer out with that as well. Good little tool to have. Set it in your toolbox, hang on to it. It will come in handy for all kinds of little things. And there we have it. That is the full disassembly of this carburetor. We're gonna go ahead and tear this next one down. We'll bring you guys back in as we start doing the cleaning process, show you what we do there, and then rebuild after that. All right, we have shifted mats over here. We're gonna get ready to do the cleaning process like we talked about. Here I've got the couple of brass pieces we are reusing that need to be cleaned. So we'll start with those real quick. This guy is an emulsion tube. These small holes along with where the main jet goes in. Fuel comes up through the bottom, air comes in through here, mixes with the fuel through the small holes and atomizes the fuel, helping it burn more efficiently. These holes need to be very clean and clear because they are very tiny holes. Make sure all these holes are clear. There are quite a few on this one. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think we got 18. One of the best things to use for cleaning this out, we found out recently on social media, from guitar strings, we got like a, I don't know, like a 20 pack of guitar strings for like $6. This is the high E string. These are great compared to using some of the copper wire I used to use in the past because this stuff is stiff and you can get tons and tons of chunks of wire out of one guitar string. Those work great. We're going to take that guitar string and we're going to run it through every single one of these holes, making sure everything is nice and clear. Once we're done running through all the holes, I will chase all of this with carb cleaner just to verify that everything is clean. That's good. The big holes, not super critical on these ones, but we will try to clean them out a little bit. There's number one. We're spraying some carburetor cleaner in here, but first make sure you put the safety glasses on. That's kind of what I like to do is block the bigger hole on this, spray this in the smaller hole, and you'll kind of see it spray smaller ones. That works great. Spray in here, and then I'll chase that with some compressed air here in a little bit. Tyler had a great idea for anybody who doesn't have access to compressed air with an air compressor. Get yourself some air duster, keyboard cleaner, stuff like that. That works great. They usually come with a little straw too. So you can use that for spraying in and drying things out. These are all good to go. We'll set these off to the side here. The next thing is these, the housings. Very simple to get these cleaned out. I'm just gonna spray a little carb cleaner on them. Use this little carb cleaning brush kit thing and just run that through. See all the stuff coming out already. Okay, those are all clean and clear. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and pull in these float bowls. And these are gunked up pretty good. So I'm gonna spray, let that sit for a second. It's hard to clean underneath here because this is a baffle that is riveted to the float bowl. I don't usually recommend bending it out of the way. You can do that. But again, we're gonna take these little brushes here and you can put a little bend on them, help you get access into some of the crevices in here. We'll take this first one that's been sitting. We're just gonna get down in there the best we can. We're gonna let her soak just a little bit longer. All right, we are back. We did our last cleaning of this. Everything's coming out clean and clear now. There was a ton of crap down inside that little well, I guess is what we're gonna call it. So those are nice, clean and clear. We're gonna set those aside. And we're gonna move on to the carburetor bodies. Basically all you're gonna do is make sure anything that touches fuel is cleaned. Anywhere there's a hole where there's a passage, you wanna blow through with carburetor cleaner. And again, once you do all that, take some air and blow through it and chase through just to double verify that everything is nice, clean and clear. I'll go through one carburetor and then finish the other one and bring you guys back after that. So I'm gonna start here. Favorite place for me to start, right here in the where the mixture screw is. There are some fine holes down here. You will see that spray out. See that comes out there. It will also come out the idle jet hole. Do it one more time. That just confirms that 1, 2, and 3, all those passages are clear already. Gonna go ahead and do the main jet next. And that's why we wear safety glasses, because that stuff burns. Coming out there, that looks good. Here on the seat, it's not a replaceable seat. I like taking a Q-tip, spraying that little carb cleaner, and taking that and then just twisting it in the hole, essentially polishing the bottom of this. It looks like everything is nice and clear in there. I don't have any kind of discoloration, no gristle. Looks good. So that all looks great. Spray in here, just like I said, anywhere fuel touches, I like just to spray everything out. Tip it upside down, make sure we're not seeing anything weird. That all looks clean and clear. Flip it on over here to the top. Not really any passages inside on the CV diaphragm. Side here, we do have a little passage here. Try that. Okay, that's spraying through. That passage is good. Last spot that I always make sure I'm checking is inside of here. These guys are our air inlet passages. So we want to make sure this is like where all the mixing happens for the emulsion tubes and also on the idle jet. So we just want to make sure that that is clean and clear. Okay, that all looks good. Good. All right, everything on this carburetor looks like it's all good to go. We will finish up the other one, bring you guys back for the rebuilding process. All right, we are back at the bench. Everything has been blown out. The float bowls are good. Carburetors themselves look good. All the passages and everything appear to be clean and clear. We're gonna go ahead and rebuild carburetor number 1 for you guys here. I'm gonna start with the top of the carburetor. Start with the CV side because I wanted to talk about these guys here. We talked about I don't always replace these jet needles, but when we need to, here's how we do it. On this model of carburetor, there's a plastic retainer inside of here. We push up on that needle. It'll unseat that, then you pull it out. This one's super easy. Some of these have clips that are adjustable, spacers, washers, things like that. This one is just a simple needle. That's it. We're gonna set that aside and grab our brand new one from the All Balls Racing Carb kit and simply reinstall it. Put the retainer back in. I like to reseat that with the screwdriver. And we can go ahead and install that into the carburetor. It's only go one way. And you can either look at the body itself, figure out which way it goes, or this one's pretty easy because there's a tab right here that lines up with the tab on the top. Make sure that that needle finds its way into the jet there. That is fully in. Go around, make absolutely sure this is seated all the way inside of that groove. If it's not, when you go to tighten this cap back on, you can pinch that and ruin it, and that's a bad day for everybody involved. Get that spring put in and then the cap on top, making sure we line up that tab, and we can install our 4 retaining screws. All right, with that installed, I'm going to verify its operation. Way number 1, you can check, make sure it's working. And lift up, you can hear that it's moving some air. It also doesn't drop back down immediately. It's fighting the air pressure inside of here. The spring is fighting the air pressure inside of there. So it returns kind of slowly. Another way you can check to make sure these things are working is blow a little bit of air inside of this passage. That passage is what the air that the engine's drawing through will actually blow on or pass through. And the faster the air, the higher that raises, and then the more fuel is allowed to pass through that main jet circuit. So that is working great. If you do not have the diaphragm seated up here, the thing will start and idle great, but it will not rev up, no matter how much throttle you give it. So that is installed there on the top. I'm gonna go ahead and work on the bottom side here. Go ahead and dive on in the main jet portion first. Friendly piece of advice is to remember that all of these components are brass, which is a soft metal, and the car bodies are aluminum, which is also a soft metal. So we want to be careful not to over tighten things or force things, because it's easy to damage the threads. Go ahead and just make sure that's snug. Don't over crank on that. We got the base in there. We can go ahead and install our emulsion tube next. That is snug. All right, we just checked online with the Kawasaki parts diagram. So on this one, the smaller jet, which is the 152, goes in the front carburetor. Snug that down. We're gonna go ahead and get our new idle jet. Make sure that is also snug down. Again, don't over tighten any of this. Go ahead and install our new mixture screws next. The mixture screw, the way these are assembled, you have the mixture screw itself. Spring goes on next. Then the washer. The washer protects the O-ring from the sharp edge of the spring here. Easy way to remember that. So spring, washer, and then our O-ring. Once that O-ring is on, this assembly will stay together. You can turn it upside down and easily install it into the carburetor. If you guys remember from the beginning of the video, we counted how many turns these were out from the bottom. So we're gonna do the reverse operation here. We're gonna go ahead and screw these all the way down. Once it hits bottom, we're gonna count our turns out. So we got half a turn, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3 turns out from bottom. That takes care of all of our jets and everything.
What do you do if you forgot?
If you forgot, set them to 2.5 turns, and once you have them on the unit, you can actually adjust these. Sometimes they're hard to get to, but they do make a right angle screwdriver that fits right underneath here, and you can adjust these while it's running. If you guys are interested in learning more about how to tune these things once they're on the bike, or on the quad in this case, drop us a comment. Let us know. Be happy to make a video on show you guys how we tune carburetors. All the jets are in. We're gonna go ahead and grab our float, and we're gonna grab our new needle, get that installed on there. We can also put the float pin in as well, and then get that all lined up and installed. And again, we have some brand new hardware for this, so we're gonna go ahead and get that installed. Okay, that is installed. That is everything except for the float bowl on this carburetor. So while we're here, like I said, we want to make sure that this is sealing properly. It does appear that somebody's been on there with a pair of pliers, so we want to make sure there's no hanging up or issues with shutting the fuel off. The way I'm going to do this is I have a carburetor pressure tester, but you can get these online just about anywhere. What we're going to do is we're going to pressurize the fuel inlet side of this and see if this is holding any pressure. At minimum, these need to hold about 2 or 3 psi of pressure for longer than 10 seconds. If they're not bleeding down, then we don't have any leaks. On this one, because the fuel inlet feeds 2 carburetors, I will block this one with my finger, pump it up a little bit, see if it's holding. Now we're currently holding 7 to 8 psi, more than enough. That looks great. If you guys are at home cleaning your own carburetors and you want to test these, make sure they're not leaking before you fully install them, which I would highly recommend you do. Go ahead, get the carburetors all assembled, turn them upright like they would be sitting on the ATV, and hook up fuel to them. If they don't leak anything, after I would say a few minutes, you'd be good to go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this float bowl on here. Just checked online with the parts diagram. These float bowls do fit on either carburetor, and depending on where they're at, if you have it this way, drain screws stick out this way, which is correct. And if you do it the opposite way, they stick out the other side. Always a good idea to double check that on twin carburetors, just to make sure you get the float bowls in the right direction, because the Kawasaki's probably made this accessible from one side, possibly not from the other way. It will still run and work either way, but just making sure it's right the first time can help you out down the road. Sometimes with these O-rings, it helps put a little bit of grease on them. Use a little bit of O-ring lubricant, make these things stick in the channel a little bit better. These ones with lots of different bends in them can be complicated. Against the carb body to get them all seated in there. Yep, looking good. Once you're confident that that O-ring is seated, everything is looking the way you want it, go ahead and grab your new hardware, install it. You'll get that float bowl screwed back down. Float bowl's on, that looks great. One last thing we've got to get back on these are the air cutoff valves, and we're gonna make sure that we get the new diaphragm installed. The O-ring sits in this little groove over here, and this is a great time to use a little bit of that grease or lubricant. That will help it stay. Got those both in there. And then for the fun part, got to get this spring sitting on the standoff and the cover, and also on the center of the diaphragm there. And then we got to compress it down, making sure you get everything lined up, including the O-ring and the screw holes. If you've got a screwdriver with a magnetic tip, that helps out a lot. You can get that screw mounted on there, and then you can go ahead and get that started. And I'm moving around all over the place, so I'm going to just get this started lightly and double check that our O-ring is in there, our spring is seated, and our diaphragm looks good. So we'll put that back down, get that next screw installed, snug them up. And that is a complete assembly of our #1 carburetor. Going to go ahead and knock out the second one here and get these thrown back on the ATV. We'll bring you guys back in when it's ready to start this thing up and see how we did. Going to replace the old air filter with the new one here from All Balls Racing. These are not pre-oiled, so make sure you guys oil these according to manufacturer spec. Get this thing on here. Carburetors are back on. We're going to see if this thing runs. All right, guys, we have got this thing all back together. We're going to go ahead and just show you no choke here. Fires right up. Give her a little bit of... Thing is running great. Air filters installed. All Balls Racing carb kit right in on this thing. Go do some testing on it. Thing's awesome. All right, guys, so we are here. We're done with the four-wheeler. That was a successful rebuild on this. What we ended up finding is the jets were definitely blocked when we pulled this thing apart, more than likely because the sump or the lower part where that baffle was on those float bowls was completely filled with junk, so it didn't matter how many times you cleared out the jets, they were going to get reclogged immediately as soon as you started this thing up. So, successful rebuild. The four-wheeler's running great. Customers pumped that the thing's going to be running great for them. It's starting easy, doing all the things it should do. Huge shout out to All Balls Racing for making quality parts that work right the first time. If you guys are interested in seeing this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that like button. That helps support us. And if you guys have any kind of questions, comments, concerns, drop them down in the comment section down below. We'd appreciate hearing from you and happy to answer the kind of questions that you guys might have. Appreciate you guys following along. We'll see you guys in the next one.